How are you spending these lockdown days?
It's okay. It's quite tough not playing any shows. We haven't played now for nearly 8 months, so it's quite difficult not playing. But obviously, we've been kept busy with our album launch, and so luckily we've been able to focus on that. But luckily, no one I know has been affected by the virus, and all my family and friends are safe and well. So I just hope that it's all over soon.
Rockum Radio, your rock
I like
station.
your album, White Noise. The songs are great. Good work.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Really glad that it's made it over to Canada. That's incredible.
And to be honest, I love your music. It's really good.
That means a lot. Obviously it's our first one, so we've never done it before. But yeah, that's really, really kind of you. Thank you so much, and thank you for playing us.
You're welcome. What is your opinion about your debut album, White Noise?
Well, I mean, like I say, we've never released an album before, so we were a little bit unsure as to how it would be received. We've been playing for 8 years, but never actually released anything. But I'm happy. I'm happy that we've got nearly 45 minutes of solid material. That there's no filler in there. It's all hard hitting, catchy rock and roll songs, and there's not one song that I feel lets it down. So I'm really proud of it myself.
And how was the creative process of this album?
Yeah, so we've been recording it over probably 3 years. It took us a long, long time to write and record. Obviously, at the right at the end, we got caught up in lockdown, so the studio where we were recording was shut. So we had to improvise and come up with a way of recording the final vocals, which we did in our singer's house in the end. So the creative process, we found that once we got the idea and the idea started rolling, the good songs just tended to write themselves, and they kind of, they flowed out in a stream of consciousness. And one of the songs, it only took us about 20 minutes to write, just because as soon as something's right, it's right, and you can just roll with it. And the way that we do things is that we'll write the music first. So Sam will come to us with a riff, and we'll say whether or not we like it, and then we'll build our structure around that. And then lastly, we'll write the lyrics to it. But we always like to have catchy lyrics, so lyrics that repeat themselves and that people can sing along to. So eventually, 3 years later, it's all said and done, and we can't go back now. It's out in the public, and we just hope that people like it.
You did a good job.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gino. It means a lot.
I like your song Skeletons. Why did you choose that song to be the first single of your debut album?
That's a really good question. It was almost, I would say we all agreed on it straight away. If someone had asked us to all say the same answer at the same time, we all said Skeletons straight away. I think it's probably the strongest. It's the one that people go away and they say they woke up the next morning and they say, I had skeletons stuck in my head this morning, because they just can't get it out of their heads. And that's what we want for the first song that people hear. That's what we want, is for them to say, okay, well, this song is so strong that we'll listen to the rest of the album. And we learned to play it live. We played it live a few times before we went into lockdown, and it got such a good reception from the crowd that we just knew that it was going to be our first single.
The video clip for the song Nightlife is fantastic. What can you tell me about it?
Right, so that was actually the first time, because the two other girls in the band live in Wales, where I live in England. They were still in lockdown when that video was filmed.
Okay.
And that was the first time I was allowed over the border into Wales to be able to film that music video. So it was as soon as the government said, okay, people can travel to Wales,
okay,
I got in my car straight away and I drove over there, and we had to we were in an abandoned warehouse, and it took us a long time to set everything up. And just as soon as we were about to hit play and to start recording, the police showed up. And they tried to say that we weren't allowed to film it anymore. And obviously we'd been there for about 3 hours setting up. And we were not about to say that we weren't going to film it. And the reason they tried to shut us down was because they thought we were about to have an illegal raid, because obviously we had a lot of music equipment. So we managed to convince them that we weren't going to have an illegal raid, but they still said, okay, you've got 45 minutes to film, and then after 45 minutes, then that's it. Okay. And we were like, well, that is not enough time to film a music video, but we managed to do it, and the outcome was pretty good in the end.
If you could choose 3 bands as the most significant influences of Häxan, what bands would you choose and why?
Okay, that's a really good question. So I would say the 3 bands that we are influenced by most would be Motorhead.
Wow.
It would be, so Motorhead, because it's a 3-piece, and the songs are fast, to the point, and they're catchy. The second band would be Led Zeppelin. That's mainly for the vocal styles and the way that we do our vocals. We take a lot of influence from Robert Plant and his singing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third band, I would say, would probably be someone like maybe Guns N' Roses.
Oh my God!
Because for our stage performance, we put a lot of energy and a lot of movement into our stage performances.
You have a good taste.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How did your music career start? Any story to share?
Yeah, so my music career started when I was very, very young. I was about 7 years old when I started playing bass. The only reason I started was because we were trying to set up a performance for the end of school year in our little village, and there was about 30 kids that went to this village, and my dad was the only one that had a bass guitar. So it was purely by luck that I said, I'll try my hand at playing bass. And we had to learn Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes.
Oh my God!
And and then I learned that song, and I sat up all night trying to learn it, and eventually I got it. It was probably terrible, but I managed to do it in the end. And it stuck ever since. I just could not stop. I couldn't stop looking up tabs online and learning songs, and I thought, if I could do this one, then I can do another one, and it just snowballed from there. And I literally haven't stopped playing since I was about 7 years old.
Nice story. Harriet, if you could change anything about the music industry, what would it be?
If I could change anything, I would change the way the money moves around in the industry now. I think it's quite a big shame that I like the fact that music is more accessible. You don't necessarily have to buy a CD to be able to listen to it. You can watch a music video online, or you can stream something on Spotify or on iTunes. But the money that is made from that obviously pales in comparison to what happens when someone does buy a CD. And the wealth distribution throughout the music industry is I think is all wrong. The majority goes to the big labels, and then obviously just to the big artists. And it's really, really difficult for lesser known artists to come through and start making a career. I don't really know any musicians that are purely just musicians. They still have to have jobs doing other things. So I just wish that people would take more of a chance on the younger bands. Maybe retire a few of the older bands and give more time and effort to the younger bands coming through.
If you could open a show for any artist, who would it be?
Oh, any artist, I would probably have to say. My favorite would be The Darkness. I think just their style of music and their fan group would probably mesh quite well with ours. So I'd say I'd love to go on tour or open for The Darkness one day.
The Darkness, I love that band. What is next for you?
Well, obviously, we are just waiting for the green light to start going ahead and gigging again, so that we can go and play all of our new songs that everybody's heard now. It's very uncertain at the moment, obviously, when that's going to be. We just need everybody to be safe, and for the pandemic to be over before we can start doing that. But we're still writing. Obviously, we're using this time now to carry on writing, carry on practicing our performance for the songs. And then as soon as we're able to get out and start gigging, we'll be going on tour. And then hopefully over to Canada.
Any last word to your fans in Rockum Radio?
No, just thank you so much for having me on, Gino. Thank you for all your support. And if anybody wants to listen to us, they can find us on Facebook at Häxan, which is Häxan band, BAND. And there you'll be able to find all the links to download our album. And you can also find our music videos on YouTube, also at Häxan Band.